WrestleMania 40 has come and gone. I watched it intoxicated, I rewatched it sober, and I think I'm finally able to put my bias aside and go over match by match and give my full WrestleMania 40 review. We're going to be going over this match by match as they appeared on the WrestleManias, so we're going to go straight down the card from night 1 through night 2. I'm not like those other guys, man. I'm not going to separate this into two videos because I don't like editing. I've got the card pulled up. I'm going to give you a basic 1 through 5 star rating. Now, I don't believe star ratings are the end all be all when it comes to wrestling matches or wrestling events or anything. I just think it's a nice simple way, and like you could do like the 1 through 10 thing, but like when you have only 5 stars, it kind of lets you dig more into it so you can be a little more fair or even a little more harsh on matches that deserve it. So, let's get started with night 1, and it started off with Becky versus Rhea for the Women's World Championship, and I'll be honest with you, great presentation. The intros were amazing. Becky read out of her book. She had parts of her book on her gear. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was like different for something like that, but I mean, it makes sense. Her book is very, very new, and also I think it's #1 seller right now, so really cool idea. Rhea had her favorite band introduce her. I believe they do her music normally. Like I think that's who sings her song. I don't fully know. I know there's like an old picture for that went around before with the main singer. So that's probably a very, very awesome moment for her and probably made that WrestleMania moment even that more special. Now, Rhea did end up taking the win in what I think was a nice 3.5 star match. Now, the thing is with Rhea, I really like Rhea. She's a great entertainer. She's good at crowd work. She's really, really good at the social media stuff and everything. She's really good at connecting with people and getting her point across. Her matches, though, since last year haven't seemed like, in my opinion, the best. When I compare it to the Charlotte match, which is unfair, it was a phenomenal WrestleMania match. Of course, they're going above and beyond, and they're trying the hardest. Most Rhea matches are pretty formulaic in Rhea dominance, slight comeback, Rhea dominance again, zesty pin, win. And that's kind of just all this really was. I think Becky tried her hardest, but Becky Lynch was also sick for the past few days. Rhea was also suffering after coming out from a panic attack. I think I heard it was minutes before the curtain. If that is true, that's crazy because, I mean, did you see how she came out the curtain? She looked incredible. A panic attack even within that day is insane, but minutes before the curtain, that just shows how good of a performer Rhea is. But yeah, there wasn't much there for me to sit there and go like this was a 5 star, a 4 star even. I just think it was a good Rhea match. It was a good Becky match. It could have been better had the situations been different, but that's not the world we live in, and that's not, I'm not going to take those to negatively affect them. I actually want to use those as a positive because I know for a fact when I have a fever, I don't get out of my bed to get in my chair to sit at my desk. So yeah, I'm not going to sit and be like, she did this with a fever and it was bad. And she did it with a fever and looked good. I've had panic attacks and they suck. You don't really want to do much afterwards. So same day going out to be in a very physical match, pretty good. I believe that the 3-star overall is just a good watchable match, and then any lower than that is bad. So 3.5 stars where I'm sticking with that one. Let's move on to match number 2, which was the 6-pack ladder match challenge tag team thing. I didn't like this. I'm not going to lie. I will give it 3.5 stars. I'm not going to give it 4 stars because these were just tag teams doing tag team stuff, which I love, but the wrong winners happened. And I can't sit here and be like, oh, this was exactly what I wanted out of my 6-pack. I didn't want this to be a 6-man ladder man match anyways. Ladder man? I love tag team wrestling, but I don't like two things. I don't like 2 single stars coming together to be a nothing tag team, and I don't like the tag titles going on to people that aren't really going to do much with them. And this is basically all this was. We had DIY in this match, New Czech Republic, Judgment Day, New Day, and then we had the Awesome Truth and A-Town Down Under. A-Town Down Under has Grayson Waller on it, who's a really good mic worker and a very decent in-ring performer. And he's also teamed with Austin Theory, who I've heard in NXT was really good and hasn't transferred that over to the main roster, and still, personally, has not transferred that over to the main roster, even after being paired with Grayson Waller. And then we have the Awesome Truth, who is a gimmick act from 2011 or 2013. It's one of the two. I didn't like them really back then. I love R-Truth. I think R-Truth is a phenomenal worker who I am just surprised can still move around as he does in his 50s. And I think he definitely deserved a WrestleMania moment. I don't care for The Miz. I don't care about The Miz, truly. I think he's a good worker. I think he's okay on the mic. I think he's severely overrated, but you gotta take the good with the bad. I think this probably would have been higher for me had a real tag team taking the SmackDown titles. I think if you had the Street Profits in here, New Czech Republic, if you do the thing and you move DIY over to SmackDown or something, it doesn't make sense. But I genuinely don't like the current setup of the tag team division in WWE. And honestly, I don't mean to dig into tribalism at all, because I think it's stupid, but AEW is killing it over with the tag teams right now, and there's literally no tag team champions because they're vacant and they're doing a tournament for it. So I was already ready to throw this match away in my head, and I had a few drinks. So I was probably a little more negative initially watching it. On my rewatch, again, a lot of fun. DIY got to do DIY things. New Day got to do New Day things, and it was all right. It's just, again, I wanted real things on my tag team, considering last year they were main eventing WrestleMania 39, and it's not really fair for me to say that because it was in part of a bigger storyline. But when I come back to this to rewatch it, which I probably will with it, I'll probably rewatch it a couple times this year. I will probably skip this ladder match just because it was just it felt like a nothing match with nothing winners. So going on to match number 3. Speaking of nothing matches, this tag team between Rey Mysterio and the LWO. Going into this tag team with Rey Mysterio, the LWO, which ended up being Andrade. I don't think Andrade's in the LWO, but he was part of this tag team, versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. This match should have been an easy Dom gets his win over his dad on the biggest stage, considering he lost to him last year, which ends in a rubber match, which could have been a retirement match between Dom and Rey. But we didn't get that. We got, 8, 9, 10 superstars that could have all just been in this match to do something, all in this match doing a lot of nothing. Now listen, I won't speak for the Hispanic community. I'm not a part of it. I'm not Hispanic. But when you have 10 incredibly talented Hispanic wrestlers, why not just show them all off in a big 10-man tag? It would have been another tag match, which would have flooded up the WWE doesn't care about tag team wrestling thing I've been saying, but it would have made more sense than having a normal 2v2 tag match, but each side had 3 to 4 people in their ring gear at ringside. It didn't make any sense. And I understand that it would have been 4 men and a woman, and that it for the tags you'd have to tag in the female on that team, but it's that's just do that. It doesn't make it. Eventually they all just get into a big brawl anyways, and then the fucking ending. You had 2 members of the Philadelphia Eagles come out and interrupt the match and throw Dom into a post, and then the LWO just win. But here's my problem with this. I know a lot of people would be like, this guy doesn't like fun. I get it. That's fun. The Philadelphia Eagles got to be involved. The LWO goes nowhere, being a very boring, nothing of a babyface faction, and Le Fantasma goes back to being a nothing heel faction, where they just beef with each other for nothing. Maybe the SmackDown titles will make them interesting, maybe, and then maybe you could bring back the US title for Rey and Santos to fight over. I don't want that. I don't really want either faction near the tag titles right now when you have teams like the Street Profits still around. We'll get to them eventually, but it's still so dumb. I'm giving this one 2 out of 10. I genuinely do not like this match. It is fun for the first 5 minutes, and it just devolves into a bunch of nothing. Joaquin Phoenix actually redoes his NXT spot. That was kind of cool. I had already seen it, but I know a lot of people probably didn't see it. So, WrestleMania moment for him. Why wasn't he just in the match? I'm going to move on because I don't want to keep wasting time on this. It doesn't make sense. It was a nothing match. Nobody gained anything out of it. I guess the people got WrestleMania moments. Do something with these factions now that Mania is over, please. I don't want them broken up, because La Fantasma, I love them. They're really fun to watch because they're a good heel tag team with a pretty decent heel leader and a nice, pretty female heel character. They could be something special. The LWO is doing nothing. They're rotting away. Send them to NXT. Disband them. I don't care. Moving on. Jay versus Jimmy is somehow worse than the match I just called a nothing match. This has to be the worst WrestleMania match I've seen in a very long time. I have been on this earth for 27 years, and this match made me question pro wrestling. This seems like a Raw main event. No, not even a main. This is a Raw mid-card match from like 1994, sometime where they had nothing and nobody. You would have thought watching this match that Jay and Jimmy had never been in a wrestling match before, and this pains me to say because this was my most anticipated match of the weekend, because I thought this is the first non-title bloodline story that we're going to see resolved at a WrestleMania, and that's what's going to set the tone for non-title bloodline stories going forward. And it felt like both guys forgot that they were in a match at Mania and didn't rehearse it. I love the Usos. Jimmy and Jay, I love what they've done separate as a tag team. The last year of main event Jay Uso grinding to be a better single stars and get to the main title picture has been really fun to watch. Jimmy not being able to accept that his brother left and is like stuck in that group that he initially broke out of to for like safety because his brother was somewhere else, and just being the comedy character, very good comedy character by the way, was a nice way to be able to delay their paths to cross. But now I wish their paths didn't cross. I'm giving this match a 1.5 stars because the in-ring, like, everything wasn't good. I had to pull the hat back down because it looked like my forehead was getting exposed. That's how angry I am. Made it look like I had a big ass forehead. I mean, I do, but y'all aren't gonna see it. Jay and Jimmy talked about doing a match like this in WrestleMania a very, very long time ago. They said they wanted this match, and I do want them to have it again. I actually wanted to do a video called Booking Jimmy versus Jay post-Mania, and I still really want to do that one, but I need them to figure it out. This whole, like, I can't express it enough. When the Young Bucks do their super kick party, they do it on purpose because people keep making fun of them for doing nothing but super kicks. This super kick spot was way too long. I watched it, like I said, I had a few drinks, and I thought maybe I was just being too harsh on this match because I was already a little irritated and, but no, rewatching this sober, I think I gave this too much credit. I think I was going to give it 2 stars. After watching the LWO match and then rewatching this one, I honest to God, I almost bumped up the tag match to 3 stars, but that would be nowhere near fair because that match was not that good. But this match just sucked, and I don't want to keep talking about it. I didn't enjoy a second of this match. There was, like, Lil Wayne came out, I guess. That was cool, but yeah, they didn't hype it up in the story-wise. I think while the Cody Rhodes bloodline stuff was happening, they should have been in the backgrounds at least a little bit, and also they should have had their own solo builds for this, where Jay keeps attacking Jimmy over on SmackDown. Jimmy runs to Raw to hide because he knows The Rock's there, and still gets jumped by Jay because the bloodline doesn't care about what's going on with Jimmy. They're not worried about it. They're worried about Cody. Something to give this a little bit more of the dramatics. I think they were trying to, like, rely on the brother versus brother thing, but we already knew the brother versus brother. We got that. We understand that. But there was nothing more. There was no energy to this match, and it just sucked. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1.5, and I don't want to go any further than that. I can't give it 2. I can't give it 1 because I mean, I guess if you watch it, no, I'm just gonna move on. The 6-woman tag between Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi versus Damage Control. Almost messed up the names, but it's okay. This was a fun match. I'm going to give it a solid 3 stars. It was a nice, perfect, finally a good fun match to kind of get the spirits up. Jade Cargill did Jade Cargill things. Bianca did Bianca things. Naomi did Naomi things. I love Damage Control severely. I think they're all talented stars, but they were just kind of perfect to sell everything. They were just there to sell the dominance that they've had, because that's kind of the direction they've given that group. Unfortunately, I think they should have had... I can't say I disagree with the idea of them putting the tag belts on the line, but it did kind of suck. It makes the women's tag titles still feel like they don't mean anything when the women's tag champions are in a match at WrestleMania, but they're not defending their belts. But I guess if you're going to do this, I would personally rather have just taken the fun Jade Cargill stompage that was this match. It was fun. I really liked it. I'll give it 3 stars. I can't really go that much higher. I could even give it 3.5, I guess, if I wanted to, just because of how good the presentation on that team was. Naomi, Bianca, and Jade all look like phenomenal stars. There's just no doubt they'll be main eventing WrestleMania one day. Hell, they might be in a triple threat main eventing a Mania one day. I can see it. They're all phenomenal stars. But I think that's really all I can say about the match. So I'm gonna keep it pushing. Oh, it's my match of the night. Sammy versus the Intercontinental Champion, the Ring General, Gunther. Gunther is my favorite current active main roster member. I fucking love Gunther. I love his matches. I love his presentation. I love the idea of him just being, I'm going to be a professional wrestler. I'm going to get in there, beat you. You cannot beat me, and I will leave. That's what I like about Gunther. And going into this Mania, I thought Sammy doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Didn't like the Sammy pick. Thought it should have been Chad Gable. Well, I actually, to be fair, I didn't really think it should be Chad Gable, but it would have made sense because they kind of set that up. I don't know who really should have ended it other than like some fantasy booking ideas, which I did on this channel if you want to go watch it. But after watching the match, not mad Sammy did it. I think Sammy should be in the World Heavyweight Championship spot, but because of what happened at Mania, which I don't want to spoil now, I'm gonna have to wait because, you know, I don't want to spoil anything. I kind of understand putting him in the IC title picture now and then maybe bringing him back into it towards the end of the year, maybe around Survivor Series and such. But man, was it such a good match. My biggest criticism of this was the story stuff. I was like, I don't think the story makes sense. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Gunther's going to win. I don't think it's going to make any sense. But Sammy and Gunther are going to have a good match. And then Sammy did his intro, and he was with his wife and child in the back. He met up with Chad Gable, who told him he had everything he needed to do it, and then he walked up, and Kevin Owens was there before he walked through the curtain, hyped him up, and he went out there, and I said, damn it, Sammy's going to beat Gunther, but I can accept it, and they had a banger match. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I'm going to give it 4 stars because the match by itself was really good. It had a little sports entertainment in there for Gunther, which is very rare for Gunther. He's, you know, very much a power slam, not a pointing at your wife in the audience saying, I'm going to beat him type guy. So I really enjoyed the little bits of Gunther kind of breaking a little bit of his character, but not enough to make me be like, oh, well, I thought he was just a wrestler, not a sports entertainer. But it was pretty in character for him to just go, that's your guy? I'm going to beat his ass. And then the brain buster, I think that part is why I give it a 0.5. I think 5 out of 5s are reserved for very spectacular things and very spectacular matches. I think it was right there. I just don't think it had enough to fully push itself into 5 stars, but a 4.5, my favorite match, possibly of the night, but man, was I, because I was not expecting a Gunther loss. I was not expecting a I'm not going to say 3-star match, but I expected something better. I kind of expected a 4-star match out of them, but the moment it happened, the celebration and all of it, I'm like, damn, it's just a good-ass match. And now the main event of Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. Winner decides the stipulation for the main event of night 2, and it was a solid 4-star match. I think I was the most surprised of how good The Rock looked. He didn't look bad. You can tell he's toned down the muscle a little bit to get more, you know, less muscle and more physical muscle for the movements that were required. I think the story beats of like The Rock telling the ref if he counts that he's fired. A lot of people didn't like that spot. I thought it was a good idea. I think it made the most sense. They're trying to flex their position in the company. It makes the most sense for The Rock of everybody to just go, hey, if you count, you're gone. There was actively a moment where the ref looked at Cody when they were like jumping Seth, and he goes, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. I thought that was a nice spot. It shows what the dynamic will be for The Rock coming back. I think Roman looked good. Cody also, like, Cody and Seth came into this looking not necessarily not confident, but panicked, almost like, you know, that's the board, he's on the board right there, that's the guy we can't beat. It gave a nice dynamic. It was kind of a foregone conclusion, so I think 4 stars is a very accurate, like, depiction, because it was the spectacle that we all wanted. It was everything it needed to be, nothing more, nothing less, and yeah, I really liked it. I wasn't as excited for it as I was the actual singles match between Roman and Cody, but I think that was just by default because the ending of the story happens that night, not that night in particular, but at night 2. So I think 4 stars. It was everything. Like I said, it was everything it needed to be, and no more, no less. So I'm going to keep it. And I thought The Rock wasn't going to do as much. The Rock ended up pinning Cody, and he was brawling all over the arena. It was nice. I liked it. Night 2 saved this WrestleMania for me at the time because, like I said, watched it intoxicated, rewatched it sober. I was praying for a good night. This night was almost perfect. I would say, other than maybe one or two little things, this was almost a five. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It was almost 6 5-star matches for me. Almost. It was very close. It was just, like I said, a couple things. If this was all WrestleMania 40 was, this would be my favorite Mania, like, no question. I loved night 2 of WrestleMania 40. And I think WrestleMania 40 saved it for me for being, it was a really good Mania 2. It might actually be one of the best WrestleManias. So, let's get into it. The opening match of Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Drew came out, looked like $1 million. He came out with the whole Scottish, like, thing. They've got the bagpipes. They had dudes with the sword to greet him as he came out. They had fire everywhere. He looked so good. My very first thought was Drew is winning this match. Seth came out in a very weird and original idea. He had the, like, I don't know what they were. I'm not going to say what I thought they were. They had a bunch of funny outfits, a bunch of instruments, and they played a song, and then he walked out in a very eccentric outfit, very on brand for Seth Rollins. I don't know what his connection to the little band thing was. I maybe it's a Philadelphia thing. I don't know. But this match started off with a frame 1, round 1, Claymore, and I'm not going to lie, jumped out of my seat for this because I thought Drew did it. I thought they redid the Daniel Bryan Sheamus thing, except this time, people would have been super excited if Drew had won that fast. I understand why they didn't do it because of the ending. I'll get into that. I think, though, had they not done how it ended, I would have loved this to have been the ending. I think it would have been the first ever 5-star match with, 8 seconds? Not even, 9 seconds. I was like, no way they just did that. That's how it should have ended. But I get why. They have their match. They go through it. Seth does end up losing. Drew can't keep his eyes off of Punk. Seth is hurt. Seth loses. Seth has a very emotional send-off to Drew. Tells him he effing deserves it. And Drew basically celebrates in front of CM Punk. And then tragedy strikes. Before that, I will say, though, the Seth versus Drew match, I'm going to give a 4.5. Very fun match. I think the only reason why it kept me from putting it at you know what? I actually think I'm going to put it at a solid 4 because I just think there were a lot of kickouts of finishers in this match, and I think that was a little heavy-handed. I think I'm not one of those guys that thinks a finisher should never get kicked out of, but I think if you're going to do a kick out of a finisher, it should be like the first one where it made sense. Like the match had just started. It was one Claymore kick. It was for the shock value. I get that, but I feel like Drew did like 10 Claymores and they all got kicked out of it. It was like the 11th one that finished them. And it's like, it shows Seth Rollins' strength because Seth Rollins is supposed to be the strong fighting champion. I get that, but I genuinely think they could have cut down on the amount of Claymores. They could have cut down the amount of stomps. They could have cut down on just all of that and just had a more diverse, just I'm trying to hurt him type match without it just being a finisher spam, and then eventually the last one hit him, and the last one finally got him down. Drew McIntyre hits one more Claymore, I believe, for the 1, 2, 3, starts to celebrate, hands the title to his wife, then goes, no, wait, give me a second, rubs in CM Punk's face. CM Punk beats up Drew McIntyre. I thought he was hurt. You thought he was hurt. Damn you, CM Punk. Damian Priest music, cash in. Beautiful. Cinema even. I love this cash in. It was a great cash in. The Money in the Bank has been highly debated as should it come back. It doesn't make any sense. It just gets worse and worse. Austin Theory's run with it was terrible. Bro cashed in on a mid-card title, lost the match, and then won the mid-card title the next week. So I can completely understand why Money in the Bank isn't looked at too favorably right now, but the pop for Damian Priest was amazing. The actual cash-in was pretty good, but it would have been better if they didn't tease it for every single week after he got the briefcase. I think when Damian Priest got the briefcase, I really, really liked it. I thought, you know what, if it wasn't going to be LA Knight, it was going to be Logan Paul. Thankfully, it wasn't going to be Logan Paul. and it wasn't going to be anybody else in that match. Damian Priest was a safe option. They had the World Heavyweight title he could have cashed it on. It was a phenomenal pick if you aren't going to put it on someone like, again, LA Knight, who was the biggest thing at the time. But he came in every week. Seth would be laying on the ground. You could have shot Seth Rollins in the face and Damian wouldn't have cashed in. Seth Rollins would come out in full ring gear, showing off that he's fully healthy, and Damian Priest would come out to cash out, and then something would happen where he doesn't cash in the Money in the Bank. It made no sense. They need to stop doing that with the next one. Don't have him do it every week. He did it every pay-per-view, every week. They teased it nonstop for the Finn Balor build. Fine, that made sense because Finn didn't trust Damian with it because, you know, he wants that title too. But why did you do it every week? I think if they just relaxed on that, this would have been even better, but you can't deny the pop on that music, bro. It was so good. Love the cash in. I hope Damian Priest has a good run. First Puerto Rican champion over 50 years. I don't want him to be a disappointing transitional champion. If he is a transitional champion, it could be a decent run along the way. But I'm gonna pray for him because that was a really good time. I love the pop and I love the feeling. It was perfect. It progressed Drew's story. Seth got to move on to the main event stuff, and Damian now gets to not be the butt of the joke every week on the internet. Next up is a 6-man Philadelphia street fight between the Pride, which is Bobby Lashley and Street Profits, not their actual name. Don't know why it's not. Kind of fire name. Versus the Final Testament, which is AOP and Karrion Kross. Now, I picked AOP and Karrion Kross to win. I thought this was going to be the big win for the bad guys to get some momentum going into post-Mania. It was not that. It was just a nice, fun match with Bubba Ray Dudley as a special guest referee for whatever reason, and Bobby the Street Profits to throw people through tables, hit them with kendo sticks, and hit them with chairs. Fun match. Really enjoyed it. 3.5 out of 5 because you know what? It was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought, Street Profits are not bad. Bobby's not bad. Final Testament isn't bad. They just aren't doing anything and aren't really a threat when they just come out and sometimes beat people up. Sometimes. They are actually currently on NXT, so maybe they'll do something there because I like AOP. I like Karrion Kross. I would like for them to do literally anything, though, other than just lose to Bobby the Street Profits. Maybe this is the first step for that, and the Street Profits can go get the tag titles off of that motherfucking Grayson Waller A-Town Down nonsense. Yeah, I'm just going to move on. And this is where we go into LA Knight, versus AJ Styles, or Impact Wrestling versus TNA's, which I called it. AJ actually brought out some new music that people don't like. I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't like it either. It was nothing where I was like, oh, this is a banger. I think, honest to God, the music in WWE right now isn't very good, but I mean, it's more sinister. He's more of a heel guy. He's probably going to continue to be a heel post-Mania, so I guess the more heelish music works, I guess. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. But yeah, this is this is one of those matches where it's just, it was a solid three-star match. It was pretty good. It wasn't too great. It wasn't too bad. It kicked up pretty fast and ended kind of fast. It was kind of a speedy match. Night 2 in general kind of felt way faster than Night 1. This is one of the reasons why. AJ versus LA Knight wasn't a bad match. I was really enjoying myself with the match, and then it ended. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't really need it to go longer, but it could have if it wanted to. It was one of those, if you want like 2-3 more minutes, maybe you could just do a little, maybe do a kick out of a BFT. I don't think that would be a good idea because Drew kind of spam finished her, so maybe we need to protect some. But yeah, it was a fun match. I liked it. When I rewatched it, I was like, yeah, this is enjoyable. Didn't hate it. Liked it. Three stars. Speaking of a match, I did not think I was going to like that as much as I did. The U.S. Triple Threat. Again, it kind of picked up really fast. It was Randy and KO having fun. They were just beating up Logan Paul. Then eventually they thought, we gotta fight each other, which they kind of do. It's a triple threat. One of them's got to go for the pin. There was a fun spot where they both go for a pin. It's not gonna work. Randy went for an RKO. Kevin blocked it, and Randy did this thing where he like bit his fist and then turned around and just went. It was a fun match. I'll give it a solid 3.5. I'll give it the same as the Street Profits. Wait, what did I give them? I gave them a 3.5, right? Whatever. This match gets a 3.5. A lot of fun. The winner made sense. Randy doesn't need the U.S. title. I don't think they want to put the U.S. title on Kevin right now. I mean, maybe. I've heard rumors of them becoming a tag team and them doing a tag team run. Would hate that, by the way. But I mean, it would make sense, I guess. I hate it, but it would make sense. Just a lot of fun spots, a lot of Logan Paul getting thrown into things, a lot of jumping of Logan Paul, and yeah, 3.5. I have nothing much more to say about it. I'm going to just talk in circles. Let's go to the next one. Bayley versus Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship might be my match of the night, fighting with Gunther versus Sammy, because those two matches I think were the perfect examples of showing off both superstars, whether they win or lose. Bayley got to show why she's one of the best in the industry, and Io got to show off why she should have been defending her title more often. The biggest disappointment for this build was the fact that Io wasn't defending the title very often, so you didn't get to really see a lot of Io, and also it kind of just took a backseat to the Bloodline stuff, even though there was a whole dissension between a faction and a really satisfying, like, I won the Rumble, I'm gonna fight you at Mania spot, and then Bayley ends up winning the match. I think is one of my favorite matches, or one of my favorite builds. It just took a back seat and kind of jumped the gun. I think the dissension storyline should have started a little bit after the Royal Rumble, giving Bayley more excuses to not pick Io, still not trusting fully the damage control stuff, and then doing it before Mania maybe would have had this a little hotter. They kind of did it before Elimination Chamber, so people were already kind of like, oh, I'm Bayley Io, but then we gotta wait past Elimination Chamber, so it cooled off severely fast. They tried to pull it back after Elimination Chamber with a few segments of like Bayley getting jumped, Bayley jumping Io back, all that type of stuff, but it was kind of stuff that like it would have worked, but we already know they don't like each other. It's like, why did they do the turn so far back? If they had waited post Elimination Chamber for her to pick, but I guess they kind of needed to pick before Elimination Chamber because the Chamber determined the thing. So I think that's just a bad spot overall. That kind of sucks for Bayley Io, where their build was really decently good. It just got shafted because of the timings and stuff. So whatever. It is still one of my favorite matches of the night. Love Bayley Io. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I don't think I could push it into 5. I actually think I'll give this one a 4.5 out of 5. I think it was a phenomenal match with phenomenal story. It's just that if it was given a few more minutes, I don't think they took minutes away from it. I think they used the minutes they have pretty well. I just think if they had like a few more minutes to do some extra stuff, maybe like one big thing, one big spot or something, I could have pushed it over. But I think with the weakness of the build, which wasn't their fault, I think I can't fully give it a 5, but I think a nice solid 4.5, because I love this match. Rewatching this match was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people said it wasn't going, or that it couldn't main event Mania. I think it could have. I think there's another year of the women's title not main eventing a Mania, and they are a night of Mania, and people were like, oh, well, yeah, it makes sense. It's not going to be that good anyways, and it was that good. I really enjoyed this one. Main event of the evening: Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, and I'm just gonna say it and get out the way. It was a 5-star match. Now, I know what you're gonna say. You're biased because Cody finished the story. I'm not biased. It was actually just a good match full of good shit. There was a start to it where Roman and Cody just had a phenomenal regular match. I think, honestly, if I take it out before all the nonsense started, before all the bloodline rules stuff started, that match by itself was about a 3.5, 4-star match. And then you add the bloodline rules nonsense. You had run-ins from you had Solo, you had The Rock, you had John Cena, you had The Undertaker. The fucking Undertaker was there. Why was The Undertaker there? I don't know. Loved every second of it. I'm giving it a full 5 stars. We got the beautiful crowning moment of Cody. We got a John Cena Rock face-off. We got Solo put through a table. You know Korea loved that. They got to see Solo get slammed through something. I fucking love this main event. You had the locker room spilling out for Cody after the win. You had Samantha Irving choking up because she genuinely was so full of emotion after that match. I think there was nothing wrong with this main event. It had the right winner. It had the right build. It had the right amount of nonsense. It had the right amount of wrestling, which is what I think makes a perfect wrestling match. You have to have good wrestling and good storytelling and have them put together, and that's what they gave us. And that is why I think WrestleMania 40 can go down as one of the best WrestleManias to ever exist. Now, I would like to go through a bunch of old WrestleManias and kind of like compare and contrast and kind of build through and look through everything. But you could make an argument for this being number one. The story endings, the match quality, all of it was just, it was all there. It was all wrapped up and given to us in a nice big bundle, a nice big basket to enjoy. And this really is a new Paul Levesque era. And I am happy to experience it with you. Guys, that is my review on WrestleMania 40. I think I think I like this Mania a little more than I thought I was going to. I already had high expectations. I thought this was, I said weeks ago that it had possibly the best roster and the best storytelling, that it could have been the best WrestleMania ever. And I think we were all kind of right. We had the talent, we had the story writing, and we got it all delivered. And I just so happy. Over WrestleMania weekend was a lot of fun. There was a lot of wrestling shows, and there was just so much wrestling. It was so much to talk about. I loved every second of it. We had Mania, we had Stand and Deliver, ROH was doing stuff, AEW was still running, GCW had an event, Stardom had an event, and I'm pretty sure there's one more event from New Japan going on right now. It was just so much to enjoy. I want you guys in the comments tell me how you're feeling about WrestleMania 40, about the WrestleMania weekend. Tell me what your favorite matches were on the WrestleMania card and your least favorite on the WrestleMania card, alongside whatever you saw this weekend that you completely enjoyed, guys. It was great. So guys, like I said, I hope you enjoyed. I will see ya when I freaking see ya.